101.1 The Answer. Doc Washburn Show continues, where you sound off and talk back 501-401-1011. Every once in a while, the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, the main daily newspaper for Arkansas, every once in a while they do something that comes in handy. Yesterday, this is so funny. Yesterday, the Arkansas Democrat Gazette had an article about the Republican primary race for Secretary of State in Arkansas, and they printed something that a lot of people may not have been aware of. There are 3 people running for the Republican primary for Secretary of State of Arkansas, and 2 of them came out against using paper ballots. They want to keep the election machines, which DNI Tulsi Gabbard said can be hacked by hostile actors from other countries. You know, they got barcodes on them. Nobody can read them. They're owned by an out-of-state company. We're not allowed to know who owns the company. But only one of the people running for Arkansas Secretary of State agrees with President Trump and DNI Tulsi Gabbard. We got to get rid of the voting machines and go with hand-marked paper ballots. His name is Brian Norris. He's endorsed by MAGA heavyweights, people like Mike Lindell, General Michael Flynn, Colonel Conrad Reynolds, and a whole lot more folks. He spent 21 years defending the Constitution as an Army First Sergeant. Served the U.S. Army deploying to combat zones and leading elite components of preeminent American military units such as the 25th Infantry Division, 101st Airborne, and the 3rd Armored Corps. And his mission was always simple but unwavering: serve God first, others always, and defend the values that built this nation. Well, before Brother Brian Norris begins to think, why am I having to put up with a filibuster here? I should go ahead and welcome Brian Norris to the Doc Washburn Show. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Very, very nice parlay into the end of this segment, Doc. As always, you're a master with words.
Stop! I'm blushing. So, early voting is going on, and of course, the primary day is this coming Tuesday, March 3rd. How are things going with your campaign, sir? And what is the message that you're trying to get across to primary voters?
Well, things are going absolutely well. You know, one of the things that we did from the onset is we had a plan, and we enacted our plan, and sometimes we had to adapt, but we had a solid foundation to move forward with as a unified front. And so far, we've driven just over 40,000 miles, and our campaign has done over 300 events. We've done over 140 something interviews now, and we hit the ground running, and we have not stopped. And that's the same way I'm going to be a Secretary of State, and that's what I want. I want the people out there to realize. You can look at my work ethic. I've proven it. I've proved it in the military. I proved it as a project manager for a Fortune 500 company, and I've proved it as a candidate. I'm not talk. I'm about action. I don't want to be a part of the golf club. I don't want to go to cocktail parties. I'm going to show up. We're going to work, and we're going to do what the people of Arkansas need to have done to bring about the change that they all want and have begged for.
So we agree with President Trump and Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard. We want to get rid of the voting machines, go with hand-marked paper ballots. Obviously, that is something that if I understand correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, that the legislature would have to go with, but you would certainly have the bully pulpit to try to get the case out there. Is there something Secretary of State himself could do about that?
Well, from my understanding is the Secretary of State is the one that certifies the manner of available methods for the counties to choose from to conduct an election. So Right now, there's only one machine company that's certified in Arkansas for the counties to choose from. Beyond paper ballots, like Searcy County has paper ballots, and Independence County voted for paper ballots. Unfortunately, our quorum court decided to take that away from us. Still trying to figure out how that was possible. But it lends to reason that there's a conflict of interest because there is only one election machine available, despite other ones being across across the nation as being deemed certified. So definitely have some wiggle room there when it comes to the certification process. And, President Trump has put out requirements for election machines to meet in order to be utilized. And
Yeah.
so to me, it puts us in an awkward position. Do I follow the chief executive of the United States and set that standard? And when I certify these voting methods, do I apply that standard? Because if you apply that standard set forth by the chief executive of the United States of America, who has the entire military intelligence administration at his disposal to feed him information, has deemed to be such security threats that you can't utilize these machines if you have these things? Or do I ignore that and assume the risk and allow the population of Arkansas to utilize machines that don't meet the highest security standards? I think it would be untoward and disrespectful, honestly, of any elected official to push off that guidance, push off those security requirements, and give the people of Arkansas a substandard election.
Yeah, no question about it. I agree wholeheartedly. It's very concerning that the president keeps on saying, got to get rid of the voting machines. And,
and they
the
don't.
Republican establishment of the state of Arkansas is like, we're ignoring you.
But it's just, it's par for the course, Doc. If you didn't know, the majority of the machines in Arkansas are using Windows 10. And if you didn't know, and if your audience didn't know, Windows 10 reached its end of life service in October 2025. So that means no more security patches, no more updates, because the manufacturer doesn't service the product anymore. And so we're using machines across the state right now that are not only vulnerable because they have components in them from manufactured in communist China and using USB sticks, but they're also have not received a security patch update since October.
So interesting. I wonder if anybody's thought about contacting the current Secretary of State, Cole Jester, to say, hey, what's the deal with Windows 10? I mean, that's no longer...
They are aware, and what I was told is that we will not receive the Windows 11 update until July. Now, in my professional capacity now, I'm a project manager.
Yeah.
And I have just completed a corporate global-wide mass migration from Windows 10 to Windows 11 because our company deemed it such a threat to our finances, to our operating environment, to our manufacturing environment, that we had to full stop everything and mass go through with this migration to shore up that security vulnerabilities.
You must have ESPN. You must have ESPN too, because you read my mind. Because I'm sitting here thinking, as soon as you said the Secretary of State's office right now is saying, well, we can't get Windows 11 till July, I'm sitting here thinking, I'll bet you there's some corporations that already have Windows 11. Why would the state of Arkansas go, oh, everything's just fine, don't worry about it, we'll leave ourselves open to foreign hackers for a few more months? That's crazy.
The real question is, when did they know that was going to be an issue? Because in the corporation that I work for, we knew about it over a year ago. We just put it off because of some of the complexities involved doing it until the last minute, and then we absolutely recognized that we had to go through with it. So it becomes one of those things like, how serious are you taking this, and how serious are you treating the vote of the people of Arkansas? Because when the machines are not being used, there's no risk to manufacturing. There's no risk to finances. There's no risk. They're not on anything. And how long were they sitting there with that known end of life coming from Microsoft, and nobody thought to go ahead and update the machines ahead of time?
Yeah. So let me ask you something. You have you been in a debate with the other two people running for Secretary of State?
I have had a couple of debate forums with Senator Kim Hammer, and we did a radio debate with Miller County Judge Kathy Hardin Harrison. Okay.
So when the issue of the voting machines comes up, do you mention how odd it is that we're not allowed to even know who owns this out-of-state company that owns and services the machines? Is that, I mean, What kind of excuse do the other candidates have for talking about, oh, they're wonderful, even though Tulsi Gabbard says no, they're hackable?
Well, the common response is that they feel the current setup in Arkansas is secure, and they say, name an instance in Arkansas in which an election was altered and proven to be altered using machines by someone providing, outside influence on that. But
Yeah.
the point is, and what's been proven is you can't prove it. It's the way the machines are designed. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
And what they don't talk about is all the instances, and this is what I'm going to ensure as Secretary of State, if we still have to use machines because the legislature makes law, but if we're using machines, one thing they don't capture now is all the spoiled ballots throughout the state. If a voter comes in and the machine prints out a ballot before they feed it into the tabulator, if they check it and there's an issue, they spoil the ballot. Well,
Yeah.
they don't keep a record of how many ballots are spoiled. And to me,
Right.
that's indicative of an issue that we need to know about. Because what about all the voters that didn't catch the error printed on that piece of paper before they put it in? And we need to have that data metric so that we can see how many instances across the state there is issues with spoiled ballots for whatever reason.
Definitely. Definitely. Now, I'm thinking that it's possible that somebody who doesn't want you to be Secretary of State is getting kind of antsy, getting kind of desperate, because I know a lot of people got a text 2 or 3 days ago calling you, a 21-year veteran of our armed services, a danger to the Constitution and in league with leftists. I'm like, buddy,
Yeah.
are you kidding me? I mean,
Yeah.
what's going on out there?
I don't know. When I first saw it, I was just like, what a strange thing to say about me. I mean, you can say I'm brash, you can say I'm full of bravado, you can say I'm arrogant, you could say all kinds of things about me if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And maybe you could make some of those make sense and make them seem legitimate. But the one thing in my life that, there's a couple things, but one of the chief things in my life that you can't say about me is that I don't love this republic.
Yeah.
I'm the one that signed up when my nation needed me, and I stayed throughout its entire longest conflict ever in our nation's history. I spent 6 months in a hospital bed at Walter Reed. I've had multiple surgeries from instances from serving my country. I'm 100% disabled veteran because of all the issues that came along with this. And I look at my wall here, and I've got 12 citations awarded throughout. The Defense Meritorious Service Medal. I have an Army Commendation Medal issued in a combat zone in RC East Afghanistan. And I have multiple meritorious service medals and joint meritorious service medals. And I even have a medal from the Republic of France for when I assisted them during their issues with terrorism from 2014, 15, and 16 when they experienced that huge rash of terrorist attacks like Charlie Hebdo and other instances across
Yeah.
the nation. And I was recognized and awarded by the Republic of France for that. So
Wow.
not only have I assisted our nation here, but I've assisted our allies in defense of freedom across the world. And even since retiring, I led the petition process in Independence County to give the people of Independence County a choice in how they wanted their votes taken and counted. And I took that all the way to the Arkansas State Supreme Court. I filed a class action lawsuit on behalf of the people of Independence County against our quorum court and its members for not adhering to that resolution when it passed with 63% of the vote. I've sued the state of Arkansas over a violation of what I feel to be my First Amendment rights when it comes to being able to conduct exit polling, which affects every candidate in the state of Arkansas. With that ruling, unfortunately they didn't see it our way, so you won't be able to conduct exit polling within 100 feet of a polling location, which further, aggravates the issue of just being able to have a check on power. One of the reasons you want to do exit polling is so that you can get an azimuth of how people are voting, so that if something comes out insanely different than that, you've got something to point to from
Yeah.
a reliable, certified source.
I mean, years ago, the Supreme Court said that exit polling is not electioneering. It's First Amendment protected speech. And so I
Mm-hmm.
don't see how a judge in Arkansas can say, well, I don't care what the Supreme Court said. You're not allowed to get within 100 feet. That's number one. Number two is I'll bet you that if a TV reporter or a newspaper reporter gets in within 100 feet, not to campaign, just to ask questions, I'll bet they don't arrest them.
No, and that's happened. We saw that our own governor was inside with newspaper crews talking about supporting President Trump as voters were walking by and voting. And we've seen other instances across the state, and we will continue to see those instances. Which is one of the reasons why in my campaign I keep asking people, are we being ruled or are we being represented? And I want to ensure and do everything that I can that the people of Arkansas are being represented, that our state motto, Regnant Populus, actually means something.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, the voting machines is a big issue for a lot of people, but also probably a lot of people don't know what all falls under the bailiwick of the Secretary of State's office. Once you get in there, what are the kind of things you're going to be doing?
Well, that's a great point. The Secretary of State is probably one of the largest offices in the state, and they're responsible for three major things that touch every Arkansan in some way, shape, fashion, or form. Like obviously elections. So when you elect who's going to be making decisions and policy over you, that affects you every day. But also businesses, which is the bulwark of what the Secretary of State's office deals with on a day-to-day basis. Then at your licensing, getting ready to do paying your franchise taxes and all that stuff. But I see that role as also being the chief ambassador to conduct business in the state of Arkansas. And we need to go out and solicit businesses to relocate and come to Arkansas and provide more opportunities. We need to meet small business owners where they are across the state of Arkansas, help them to achieve success and give them that lateral movement and that upward mobility to create more opportunities for the citizens of the state of Arkansas. We can do that by reducing the red tape that they go through, which is why I've been saying since the beginning of this campaign that I'm going to do a Doge-style audit of everything business-related in the Secretary of State's office. And if it's not codified in law, it goes away. I won't entertain it. And if I'm able to reduce franchise fees and taxes, I'll do so. If I can reduce them to zero, I'll do so. We got to see how the Secretary of State's office is funding. If it's funded by way of those taxes and filing fees, well, then we'll have to take a look and see how low we can reduce them and still make payroll and pay for the things that we got to do. But if not, then that's a legislative problem, not a Secretary of State problem. And I'll reduce them to zero and tell the legislature, well, I hope you guys figure it out because we still got to conduct business. And then the third one is maintenance of the Capitol grounds. And I'm the only candidate in this race that's force protection certified, active duty shooter certified. I'm a graduate of the Special Operations Combatives Program. I'm a chief master instructor of the Army Combatives Program. The Capitol's going to be safe. I've done this in both garrison and in combat, so I know how to protect an established location. But I want to make it a destination and not just a building. I want to improve parking. I want to beautify the space. I want to bring it to its true reality of what I think our state founders intended when they built that beautiful, or they designed that beautiful Capitol building that was later built. The Arkansas State Capitol is beautiful. It's the closest one to the Capitol in Washington, D.C. And sadly, a lot of the surrounding infrastructure does not replicate that beauty. So I want to do what I can to do that, to bring that vision they had to fruition, and give the people of Arkansas a place of pride that they can point to and they can say that's ours, and it's the best in the union.
That sounds fantastic. You're talking about, and a lot of people don't realize this, but if you want to get a business license in the state of Arkansas, you do that through the Secretary of State's office. And the Secretary of State has two different offices. One is in the basement of the Capitol that deals mostly with election oriented stuff, and then the other is on the second floor of a building about a block away from the Capitol, the same building that Channel 4 and 16's news operation is in. And so when I got fired from Cumulus Media for not getting the COVID vaccine, some guys wanted to invest in helping me get a podcast business off the ground. And we actually had to get a business license. So you got to go in and apply and fill out all the paperwork. And they tell you, to come back in a few days, and they let you know, okay, when your paperwork's ready. So I go back and I walk up to the counter and ask the young lady. She's like, "Oh, it's in that bin out front." They had literally a bin outside the office, just in the walkway, where you could rifle through everybody else's paperwork who was trying to get a new business. And I remember thinking, something seems kind of off here. If you're elected Secretary of State, would you also go on record to have a little bit more security, so not just any Tom, Dick, and Harry off the street with a "will work for food" sign can come in and rifle through everybody's business applications?
Doc, I promise you that will be one of the first things that go away.
Okay.
That's just not professional. It's not professional.
Okay, now again, that's when John Thurston was Secretary of State. For all I know, Cole Jester might have come in and seen it and gone, "Wait, what's this?" It might not be that way anymore.
Hopefully he did.
It might not be that
Hopefully
way
it's
anymore.
not a problem I got to deal with.
But it was definitely that way in late 2021. So anyway, I've cast, I have no problem with casting aspersions on the current person in that office, but that might not be a legit reason to right now. Anyway, I'm sorry. I talk too much. We got about a minute and a half left. Brian Norris, what else do you want to tell the listeners?
Hey, since this campaign started, guys, I've been telling everybody, I'm not asking for your vote. I'm asking for an opportunity to earn your vote.
Yeah.
And I think that if you look at everything that I've done throughout this campaign, I've been very consistent. And now, I hope that I have earned that opportunity from the majority of the people of Arkansas. And now the problem is for you guys to hold me accountable, which is what I expect you to do. Because on day one, I'm going to put a list of all these great and wonderful things I did up in my office and on the website. And then I've got two choices. I can put a check mark next to it as done, or I can give you an explanation as to why I didn't get it done. And I promise you that I will always follow through on everything I said. And if we have to have a conversation that I couldn't get something accomplished that we discussed and wanted to, well, then I owe you an explanation.
And the website is briannorris.org, and that's Brian with a Y. Brian Norris,
yes, sir.
Appreciate you. God bless you, sir. We'll be looking forward to Tuesday night. And have a great day. Y'all be safe out there.
It's going to be good. You too, brother.
Thank
you
so much.